Good evening, Dangerlings. Good day to you, Dangerlings. Welcome to Danger Recall. This is the show where we talk about our show. Today, I am your host, Colin Hubbard, and I'm going to be talking about episode 32. With me, I have some guests. I have Mr. Ross Harmston.
Hello there.
I have Daniel Thompson.
Hello.
And I have Scott Besquare. Yes, we are going to talk about episode 32. Here is our jingle, Ross.
Thank
you very much, Dangerlings. We are going to talk about episode 32. This episode was called The Axeborn Identity, released on the 7th of the 1st, 2019. It's a new year. It's a new day. It's a new life for me. And I'm feeling...
Bam, ba-bam, 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 ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. My mic definitely.
Yeah.
Tell you who else is feeling good.
Who's that?
Karagor's feeling good in this episode, isn't he? He's a happy lad. He's a happy lad.
Oh, he's a lad. He's feeling well happy. I tell you what, I missed a massive thing on last week's Danger Recall, and I'm sure I got shit for it on Discord. And if I didn't, go and give me shit. Well, you know, if you want to give me shit, don't give me too much shit. But
please,
I'm vulnerable. Please. I'm vulnerable. Dangerlings, you know, we're all vulnerable people. I obviously didn't scroll enough on my iPad, on my notes. Freya Axeborn entered last week's episode paying for everyone's drinks.
Scott, don't worry. Colin, don't worry about it. It's just some character shit. It's just some character shit. No one cares about it.
Is this a new thing? Are we going to get Scott and Colin mixed up now as opposed to Ross and Scott?
Maybe.
It's going to be Scollin or Cot.
Cot?
No, Scollin sounds like delicious seafood to me. That sounds great. I'm on board.
Well,
a bit of
once was a Scollin. Let's get to see and the name of the Scollin. If you're going to give Colin shit for this, on the shitograph, trying to keep it to amber. But if your shit is amber, like, see a doctor.
Yeah, amber banter.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Freya Axeborn. Yeah, she's just there, isn't she? She's just existing. There. Just wholly there, wholly and entirely there.
Yeah.
And if I was to give a summary for this episode, Colin.
Wow, that was good.
Yeah.
Good link.
Yeah.
Thanks. That it would be that Freya Axeborn, a burning light from Karagor's backstory turns up and Karagor is drawn like a moth to a flame. But what shadows does this flame cast on the rest of the Danger Club? An earwig-shaped shadow.
Nice. Good summary. Love that. Not that I don't like anyone else's summaries, but, you know, yours are quite poetic.
Whatever.
It's because every time we try and do anything, you're like doing the wrap it up sign at us. As soon as we get beyond 3 words, you're like, all right, come on, don't milk it.
That's my secret, Dan. I don't look at Colin when I'm doing my bit.
Don't look at him. He doesn't exist. Yeah. Amber banter. Let's just keep it at that. So we have a lovely intro in this episode. It's really nice. We have the Shakespearean Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, we did.
Karagor and Shania. Will they, won't they?
That was fun because I was like, it just sort of like came out like as often these old school intros did for us. We were just like messing around. We were like, all right, let's do that as intro. That's fun. And then as we were doing it, it became quickly apparent which of the two actors had done way more Shakespeare than the other because Drum just continues to nail the rest of that bit. And I'm like, I'm glad I've got the comic line to come in and break this up because I have got nothing else for Romeo past this bit.
Yeah, it was really good. Really, really good. I enjoyed that. We should do more Shakespeare, shouldn't we?
Well, we've kind of stopped doing it because we're not in the same rooms. We don't do scenes anymore, do we? We haven't done a scene in a while, like a scene intro. But you wait, Dangerlings, when we're back in the room and we can each look at each other awkwardly and go, "What the fuck are we doing?"
Until someone giggles maniacally and we go, "All right, fine, that was enough energy that we need. Fine, capitalize on that." We've got to be in the room where it happens. The room where it happens.
Yeah. There's something I want to say, but I'm not going to say it because it's a major spoiler. So I'm just going to keep that to myself. But we got something special planned for you, Dangerlings.
I'm all scared of those kind of intros in the studio because every now and then you guys just decide that they're actually preamble, and I'm just sitting there. I'm just sort of sitting there reading a book, getting ready for the episode while getting a load of records down, and then somebody were like, "Dan, why have you done Welcome to the Danger Club podcast yet?" And I'm like, "Wait, what? We're doing an episode."
Yeah.
The best one was recently when we lost Dan in the Zoom, and he came back and we were already preambling, and then he didn't realise, and then he was like, "Hello, everyone."
I'm just there trying to sound check, and we're like, "No, it's all going in."
No, this is it.
I was just like, Dan, if we were still recording, I left it in the episode and everything.
You did.
I was like, why not? Yeah, you never know what's going to happen, do you, when Colin gets those episodes?
Never do. You never do.
Hey, listen, that's my creative bit. All right, you've got the writing of the stories. I was trying to
Colin's
think of
job.
what everyone else has got.
Oh, what?
Oh,
how rude. Hey, we're the
I know
talent,
what you've got. I just kind of blanked, and then I started feeling a little bit like if I talk about this too much, maybe they'll take it away from me. So look, I appreciate everything that everyone else does. All right.
Hey, if you didn't have me, you wouldn't have all the comedy gold. Yeah, you just have Scott going around going, "Oh, the go kill shepherds or earwigs." Oh, no. And then you've got James going, "Oh, I'm cranky. Look at me, I'm cranky." Oh, and then you've got Drum just going, "Oh, look at me." Oh. Yeah, so come on, mate.
Drum, who apparently is a bumblebee. There is.
Should we?
I mean, that's actually fair for Drum. Actually, if he was an insect, he would be a bumblebee.
Should we phone Drum? Get him on the line.
No.
Impression to him?
We swore we'd never do that.
No, we're not phoning anyone without a pre. We're going to phone you. We're not going to do that again, Dangerling. So I'm sorry. That was a treat for you another time.
And the odds of us ever being organised enough to pre-arrange a phone call, I think, are slim.
Yeah.
So remember, we talk about this a bit in the preamble. Remember, we used to do fan votes for the module that we're going to do next. Remember that? Remember we used to do that.
We did do that.
I like that idea. I think we should do it again.
We will definitely do it again. The only reason we didn't do it for the Slithering was it was like a 2E module that was the right level for the party fell into our lap.
Yeah.
So we were like, that has to happen because it's new and exciting, and is less work. But
yeah, when we switched to 2, there was less modules available, I think, for to choose from.
Although Master Living God was a conversion to 2E, so we'll go, like, when we go back to it, when we do the vote for the next module, most of them are probably going to be first edition modules. I'd say all of them will be first edition. You heard it here. That will be
Dangerlings, Patrolings. You heard it here. Your choice will be restored.
Yes.
Wow.
And then we will eventually, in maybe like 20 games, get to that adventure path. Maybe, we might do some things on the way, like jumping river sharks or whatever.
You say
Sorry,
this is
I've
the
just
first week.
I've just got to click Patrolings. Is
that what that symbol was? I never know what your hand symbols on Zoom mean, Colin. I usually assume they mean either shut up or speed up.
Nah, this is when we start clicking, that's like being at a poetry slam. That's like
that's appreciation.
That's
is
appreciation.
Angry swan?
Yeah.
Is it a lizard that's going to eat my dessert? Which one is it?
You can't see this, Dangerlings, but
Scott's doing some weird shadow puppet.
He's doing shadow puppets on Zoom. There's no shadows.
He's just doing it with his
hands. He's just doing
hand.
something weird with his fingers. So
there is the shadows. There's the shadows underneath my eyes.
All right, listen, we got music from Kev, Sorko Soundscapes, Masterpiece Music, Karan Sun, Fine Sound, Peter Crowley, Fantasy Dream, Always Music, and Ross Bludgeon.
Nice.
Lots of music in this one.
It's a lot. It's a musical episode, Cole.
Before we get...
go for it.
Go on, Dan. No.
I was going to say, before we get too into this one, I've got, if you want, because I listened to DMQs as well that was before this, and I have 3 notes on it. One of which is interesting, and they're all very quick. I think it was the one we did on New Year's Eve. James came round. We recorded it virtually on New Year's Eve, and we just sat and had a drink and recorded DMQs here. I like it because it sounds like a sort of proto-Dangerous Wednesdays from like the early days of Dangerous Wednesdays when it was just me and James, and it's very conversational, and you can hear a lot of James's streaming because James is live streaming all the time now. You can hear his presenting style kind of there, which I really liked for that. It's got a nice bit in it talking about a conversation that you and I had that showed how deep we were both into it at that point, where I think I phoned you up to see what you were doing, or we were having a chat what you were doing, and you were like, oh, I'm just remastering the first 3 episodes because I don't like the audio on them, so I'm completely remastering these things. And you were like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm reading a source book about Drow that I don't need to know about, but they're in one scene and I want to know everything about them. And it was just like both of us had that moment of like, the project's got us, hasn't it? There's no escape. And the other note I have is that me and James were drinking very nice scotch, and we had ice in our glasses, like absolute scum, and I'm really, really appalled with both of us for that, because you don't put ice in nice scotch.
You are actually meant to put a single. It depends on the whiskey, but
dash of water, but not ice.
I mean, well, there's some that do require 1 cube of ice, a single cube of ice to activate the flavour. But
I put my red wine in the fridge, so come at me, bro.
What? There are red wines that you can put in the fridge, Ross, but you just put any red wine in the fridge?
No, I put a what is the different types of, what is it? A Malbec. I usually have Malbec, a little Malbec in the fridge. Trust me.
That's a nice wine. That's my favourite kind of red wine. Why would you put that in the fridge?
Because it just tastes nicer. I don't know, just like it. Anyway, back to the episode.
No. We need to talk about this, mate. Sorry.
Oh, fucking hell. Anyway,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, horses for courses.
Speaking of Ross being sorry, in the preamble we talk about Shania getting proper kit, because she's not powerful enough at this point, so she needs extra stuff, which is fair. And we talk about getting Shania a very small shield. Genuinely thought Ross at one point said, "Can you even use a butt plug?"
I heard that too. Yeah,
butt plug. What was I trying to say?
You were saying buckler. No. You said it apparently on the record perfectly well. I listened to the episode at 1.2 speed, so it goes by really quick for my ears. I'm like, did Ross just drop in about butt plugs? And then we all just go, yeah, can Shania use a butt plug? Like, let's not be asking Shania that.
I was listening on 2 times speed because I like it, and I had to reverse back. I had to rewind and then put it onto normal speed just to hear it. Yeah.
Turns out Shania can use whatever she likes. She never got a buckler in the end, did she?
No,
she did not.
She did. No, that's kind of the balancing factor of Drummond. Drummond is a unique game mechanic that you have to kind of balance. In that sometimes he will choose things that his character can't have and are far too powerful, like the Drow Noble class or spells that he can't cast or things like that. But it's balanced by the fact that he'll also do things like forget to buy armor, and so we kind of balanced out in that way. So ultimately, it does work out a kind of balanced character all around, and a fun one.
We kind of compare Karagor to Las Vegas.
Yes.
The city where you can do anything. Now, I've never been to Las Vegas. I've been to lots of places in America, but I've never been to Las Vegas. So big up Las Vegas. And these aren't my words, so don't shoot the messenger boy. But my friend, he's from Michigan, and he went to Las Vegas, and he said that it was his first time in Las Vegas. His wife bought him a gift, and it was great. And it was literally, he got in the cab, and the cab driver said, "You ever been to Vegas before?" And he was like, "No, I haven't, sir." He was like, "Well, this is the city where you can do anything. You can literally do anything any time of the day. You want to a dolphin in the blowhole at 3 a.m., you can do it." And that's what the cab driver's first words to my friend was.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Colin, I've actually been to Las Vegas. Never did that situation arise for me, which thankfully I am glad of.
I mean, that's pretty extreme. And I think the cab driver was obviously joking. It was a bit tongue-in-cheek, but he was trying to say that you can do anything in Las Vegas.
I just went to see the Cirque du Soleil. I went to the Luxor. We went down the Strip. We went to see Paris and stuff, and all the Circus and what have you. It was great. It was great. I didn't see any dolphins. I'm worried now about the dolphins in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think the taxi driver was joking. All right, he was trying to just say you can do anything here you want. You know what I mean?
Specifying the 3 a.m. part that really worries me. It's like, like in San Diego you can get a dolphin, but it's only business hours. Like here, 24/7 dolphin blowholes.
That's the next Blackfish documentary, isn't it? It's going to be about dolphins in Las Vegas.
That's a great documentary.
Let's be kind to all sea marine life, please.
Let's be, and let's not reinvent the dolphin's blowhole purpose.
I might cut this bit, 'cause I'm not sure if it's too.
I think keep it fine. Because
it's something that was said. So
just if you're gonna do anything with a dolphin, just stick your finger up his ass. Obviously, and
offer it.
Call back. Hiya.
I do like Las Vegas actually, for all its weirdness and over the top. It's just so extreme, such an extreme place. But it is a marvel going up that fake little Eiffel Tower that they've got and looking out over where the city exactly stops in that little basin bowl. It's mad. It literally that boomtown just ends like at cusp, and then there's nothing but desert either side of it. You're like, how did you you utter mad lads, you just did it, didn't you? Like, this is quite impressive, really, I guess.
It's madness, isn't it? Yeah, it's madness.
On Kaer Marga, I actually sort of imagined through Dan's description that Kaer Marga was a bit of a darker place than not literally darker, because I'm sure Las Vegas can be pretty dark when it wants to, but like physically darker. There's more cliffs, there's more clouds, there's more shadows. It's like the chiaroscuro was stronger in Kaer Marga.
I was imagining it like very much like kind of like cyberpunky. Like there's building, like in terms of like there's lots of
It's a fantasy theme.
No, but I mean is in terms
Fulton's
of like
there's a robot. There we go. Hello, Mr. Cyborg.
I mean is like there's like
just
buildings,
fridges everywhere.
Hear me out. There's like buildings very close together, all built out the side of a wall, and it looks very tenement building, like loads of apartments closely pushed together, which reminds me of like a cyberpunky type feel, not in terms of the future, but like in terms of everything's quite squashed in together, built into the side of a wall. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair play. I mean, when I said Las Vegas, the comparison was just that it wasn't like the lights and the casinos. It was more just the feel.
Yeah.
We need to move on though, because listen, we do this 2 years ago, and I bust a few rhymes. I don't know if this is the first time I bust a rhyme. It's from Run DMC. It's a song by Run DMC. It's called Sucker MCs. Dan was literally going into the introduction of Karagor, and he said 2 years ago, and that's the first line in this song, and it just made me
really heavily scripted, really important character moment right at the start of the episode. Very tense about getting it right. Really, definitely appreciated some Run DMC right at that point.
Hey Dan, you don't usually pause when you speak, but you did then, and I jumped in on it. I was like, yeah, man, here we go. You were like 2 years ago, and I was like, right, here we go, and it just came out.
It's just like waiting for a moment to speak. As soon as Dan gives me an inch, I will take a Run DMC.
It's also known as Crush Groove 1. It was released in 1983 as a B-side to It's Like That, and that's the way it is. You remember that song? It's been covered by the Wu-Tang, Lords of Brooklyn, and Beastie Boys at various points in different forms. So there you go. That is that song.
It's so quick as well. You go in so quickly on it. It's like you guys had rehearsed it. I was like, Karagor's backstory now has to have Run DMC in it somewhere. Go back and re-edit that.
Now we actually go into the backstory. The backstory is amazing. Really, really picturesque. The way you described it, Dan, really, really good. How did you like it, Scott?
Yeah, it's cool. It's like I say, we even talked about this on a recent Dangerous Wednesdays, didn't we? Yeah, it's cool, and you can hear it. And it's worth listening to, like in its entirety on the actual episode. It's very cinematic. But for like any sort of like forward thinking or like new things on the back of that, it's genuinely one of those things, isn't it, in a game like this, especially when it's going out like to its audience facing, where I was like, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk or not. I know that's my backstory, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say anything. Karagor's very much because there's a lot of interactions that happen with other NPCs in that little bit. It's very much the silent computer game protagonist in that bit, when people just keep coming up to you and delivering lines and saying all right and then moving on. You're like, don't say anything. I didn't want to interrupt the flow, because it seemed to to be going quite well, and you can all hear the results of that flow. It's quite nice.
Yeah. I really enjoyed, again, picking all the music and putting it behind and putting all the sound effects and stuff. I thought that was really nice with the arrow sounds and the people running by, and it was just really fun to put that together. I really enjoyed that.
Scott, did you so your backstory is based on some real life stuff, isn't it, and people-ish?
The earwigs, yeah.
It is, yeah. I was once a hitman, and I came to London to be a drag performer. No, I am. That's only partially true. We used to go to this event called Sword Punk, which is a great little event. Out in Warwickshire, where you swing swords and craft leather and hit drums and light fires and shoot arrows and dance and that kind of thing. It's totally amazing. I met some friends there. And they were all like fun adventurers like ourselves. And I've named, they came up with a guild there. They had their own guild, bunch of nerds, which is the Order of the Badger Striped Cyborg. It's been like 3 years since I've been. Miles is killing me for this, but I shortened it down. I condensed them to earwigs because they have an earwig as their emblem. So I was like, I'm gonna name potentially murderable NPCs in my backstory after you guys. The full list of them is Sasha Steelstorm, not real. These are the fantasy names: Sasha Steelstorm, Freya Axeborn, Swallowtail, Selim Jackalface, Bexa Pine Panther, and Quent the Querulous. That is Sasha, Freya, Frankie, Miles, Bex, and Quent.
Who's
Very
Freya
cool.
based on?
Freya?
Well, who's that? Yeah, who plays Freya? Well, I say plays Freya.
That is a lady and long-time Dangerling called Freya, who we've been to Sword Punk with.
Very nice.
We also saw them at Comic Con as well, didn't we?
Yeah. Got them some of my Sword Punk pictures as leaning over all of us with a huge sword that's bigger than us, cackling maniacally.
Dan, how much communication did you have with Scott about this before you wrote that backstory?
Fair bit. Like Scott had sent a pretty detailed backstory, and we had a bit of back and forth where I just asked a few clarifying questions on it to get an idea of who everyone was, and then we did it. It's different to how I would do that kind of backstory now, because that one was sort of it was introductory rather than plot hinty necessarily. So it's kind of like there was no reason that Scott couldn't have been fully involved in doing that one. And I think if we did a kind of flashback scene like that now, I would much rather do it as a collaborative thing where it's scripted together and Scott has dialogue in it and it's kind of done. It's still like a cut scene, but it's like a scene that we're performing together rather than it being just a watch this happening. There are other scenes that you kind of have to do that way later on because they're very plot centric and there's stuff that the character in that scene can't know about what's happening in it, and so you sort of have to do them that way. But for a scene like this, I think looking back on it worked. But I would rather have done it collaboratively. I think if we did something like that now, that would be more my way of doing it.
Yeah, I think it's a learning thing, isn't it? It's a learning thing. We didn't know at the time. We're trying stuff out, stuff goes out and it still has entertainment factor. It's still good. Like, there's no reason why it shouldn't be on there. But yeah, we're trying things out. You didn't know what worked, didn't know what didn't. And this certainly worked. It's very much the Karagor walked so that Fulton Crybaby Battlestone can run. all of his later flashback stuff where he gets all the emotive stuff in. I'm sitting there being like, we can talk in our backstory bits. I didn't know that.
So Freya walks up and says, "Who are these two idiots?"
Which you didn't like, did you, Colin? You weren't a fan of that.
I tell you what, it was. It was great to listen back, but M definitely did not like it. He doesn't like being insulted straight off the bounce. Likes a bit of banter, a bit of a lad, but someone walks up to him and just says, "Hey, idiot." He's like, whoa, let's get a relationship going first before we join in the bants. So he didn't like that at all, no.
And that sort of overshadows the next entire scene, doesn't it, really? Because as I was listening back to it, obviously at the time, like, you can probably hear that I'm super involved and super peppy, and Karagor is like playing it like his old mates turned up and they're alive, and it's like that's an overabundant bit of joy for Karagor. But he keeps referring back to his mates in the Danger Club who are just standing there looking vacantly at him, or like away from him, or walking away, or aren't present and stuff. And listening back to it, it's very much like the DCP hang Karagor out to dry in front of his cool mate. It's like that thing where you've got an old mate and they're cool. You want to introduce them to your old friends, like to prove that they're cool, and your old mates go, I don't know, I don't really, whatever. I don't really
dig their vibe. Yeah, it's happened so many times, isn't it? It's like, I can't wait for you two to meet, and then they meet and they don't get on.
Like, oh fuck.
Yeah, for some reason the humour. I mean, it's all to do with meeting people and how long you spend with them and all that sort of stuff. And that's why relationships are bonded. And sometimes those friends are never going to get along, and you just have to deal with it. But it was really interesting to play that as well. Really interesting to play that dynamic and from the bounce. Because of that, I don't know, Dan, if you made that choice, but from the bounce, M was just like, don't trust this person. Do not trust her at all.
I made the decision that M was not going to trust this person. It was why I know I've just been Darren Browning you for this whole thing to me. No, it's I wanted to ask you guys about this because I think it's really interesting because a couple of episodes ago we have M and Karagor falling out over the fact that they've had a miscommunication over the zombie fight, and they kind of have Karagor has a yell at M about that, and then we get into this, and M doesn't like Karagor's mate, and we'll see how that plays out. M doesn't trust Freya at the start, and Karagor doesn't agree with him on that. I wanted to ask: is this the end of the bromance? Is this a shift in the friendship? It goes back to kind of Ilsurian when it was very much M and Karagor were the double act in the very early eps.
Yeah, eat a dick, Fulton. That's tough, isn't it? I thought we sort of mentioned it in the episode a little bit, don't we? Because it is quite good. It is fun. It's fun to listen back on. Was it the end? I don't know, Colin. What do you think?
I don't think so. No, it was definitely a learning curve for their relationship. Again, when you bring an old friend into that relationship, it can kind of like, who is this? Who is this person? And I think for M, it was more of a sort of, okay, well, this is a side of Karagor I haven't seen before, and I have to kind of navigate around it. I have to manage my friendship and all that sort of stuff. And I think M stays quite calm in it, and he sort of like, Karagor's in the bar going, my fucking friends turned up and you're being a fucking dick about it and like la 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 la, and he's just like, you know what, I'm going to bed. Yeah, I've said my piece. I'm out of here. And it's kind of frustrating because I think for M, because he's not being heard. I think he's sort of saying, we should analyze this. We should all talk about this as a group. And you're like, no, we're definitely doing this job. Freya's great, and it's a bit of a kind of like, okay, well, I need to give you time to cool off, and then we need to talk about it as a group.
It's the thing in it, like where as a player you're like, I don't want to let the backstory overrule the thing that's happening here. However, how would my character react in this given moment, given the cards that are played? Like, I have to play this to the hilt. And obviously, it served the story for Karagor to be jumping on that quest straight away. But obviously, Scott would be like, But Karagor at the time was like 100% absolutely. And I think that sets up some interesting stuff later on. It was more the fact that, like, you guys, to be fair, you get a little bit of Karagor passive aggressively being hurt at you. Shania gets off easy. Shania had her own reasons for not being there, but like Karagor's gutted that she isn't there.
Yeah.
Like Karagor's destroyed about it. Like he's really upset about that. Like on the inside, and he sort of lashes out a little bit, like a stupid bloke at his nearest mates. To be fair,
Fulton, you're sat when we all go to the bar and have this little like chat, and we're grabbing Velda. I love this bit where we just keep grabbing Velda.
Just what's in
there. That's a really like improvised thing that we just keep grabbing him and holding him to. And then Fulton, you're sitting there talking to Freya about shoe cheese. It's a really funny moment.
That is the bit that I had written down as well. That the hands on shoulders bits are some of my favourite. Like listening back to it, the repeat motif of the hands on shoulders bits is just great. Like because it's such a good visual thing, and it's so enjoyable for role playing. And James plays it quite well as well. Like I just don't want to be here. The thing where we keep forcing him to be there. It's good.
And then when Freya leaves, like all three of us are holding him. Fulton's joining in for some reason, just holding Velda there, and he's like, leave me alone.
What were you going to say, Dan?
This episode, it's so much fun because it's just pure play for so much of it, and it's pure character, and it's something we don't always get to do on the show because of the way we record. There's a lot of analysis of what's going on, and we want to show the thought process of the player and things like that. And so normally in a scene like that, you get a lot of conversation of kind of like, oh well, it's an NPC. What's the quest? Where's this going? Is Dan trying to trick us? How we do? And there's no one really comes out of character for the entire scene. Everyone just lives in that moment and just plays it out, and it ends up taking us in a really interesting direction without kind of, even though in our heads I think everyone is sort of thinking, what does this mean, where is this story going, and everything. In the record, it's just the characters, and I really love that. I really love that we just get to spend a whole scene just in that room with them and experiencing it as they experience it.
It's really nice, point. Isn't it? Just pure role play.
Yeah, there's a lot of role play. You're absolutely right, and that's the bit. I think to echo Dan, everyone has some like amazing bits in it. Was there a single dice roll made in this entire episode?
No,
not a single one. So. And I forgot. There were episodes where we didn't make an entire dice roll in that entire episode. I forgot there wasn't an entire dice roll made in this entire episode. That's how focused on the role play we all were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I do love. Sorry, go on.
No, you go.
I do love as well I missed it obviously at the time. I obviously would have missed it at the time, but in listening back to it, Shania says something along the lines of, I had lots of friends who turned out to be not so good friends. All right, Freddie, foreshadowing. And he just caught that. I just caught that. That was good. That was a good line. That was.
Really
good. It's weird.
We haven't even talked about the.
Sorry, go. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say we haven't even talked about, because we're near the end here. We need to wrap up soon. But we haven't even talked about Shania's bit where she goes in to see Ica and talk to Travis and things. So it was kind of like the B story, wasn't it? It was like which was really good. Really good stuff though.
I took it as like, I think afterwards I said at the time it was like the episode where two people's backstories come in, because really that is justifiably, obviously the focus is more on like Karagor and Freya downstairs, but really that's just as important to Shania what's happening upstairs. It's just that she happens to be dealing with it by herself, and that's the thing in these kind of games, like where there are more players is generally where the focus is. But yeah, two people's backstories do get heavily referenced in this episode. Really,
it's a testament to Drum's performance that he's hardly in this episode, and yet Shania's presence is just felt throughout it, or her absence is, even when she's not in the room, the fact she's not in the room is a thing, and you really get a sense of her as a character throughout it, through Drum doing very, very little actual on mic time. It's really nice. Yeah,
it's really good, really good. So Karagor has a go again. He says about when we were down in the pit you could have helped, and then that's where M sort of skulks off and just says, it's
Karagor's just like come up against the brick wall of M just too many times, and he's like, I don't want to dig this old knife out my back, but you know what, if I'm not getting, I'm going to try and dig away at this little wall if you're going to keep putting it in front of me. And we're listening to it back, and I think it's Ross who goes, ooh.
And it's really interesting as well, because in M's mind he was sticking to the plan, so he's like, look mate, I don't know what you're having a go at me for, because I'm not the one that fucked it up. And also going back to like M's backstory, he doesn't want to get angry. I think he says that in the it's very Hulk kind of reference, but it's like, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry, I don't want to get angry. He's a blood rager, but he doesn't want to rage, he doesn't want to lose it too much, and so taking himself away from those situations where he's arguing with friends and stuff, he doesn't want to get into that. So again, lots of backstory coming out for all the characters there. Dark Michael is mentioned for the first time.
Yeah, of all of the mistakes of all of the questionable decisions that Freya Axborn has made throughout her life and will make as the show goes on, the fact that she shops at Dark Michael's makes me respect her the least out of all of them.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But there you go. That's pretty much the end of the episode. I mean, we end, Shania's upstairs. She thinks she's seen Drowl again, and, we talk about, what's that track? Scott, I wanted to ask you again, because you mentioned it in the thing. What's the track that you wanted to put, but we can't use it for royalty rights?
Yeah, man, like just back when I was like, I come up with playlists for characters in my head, on Spotify, and try and pull some stuff together. I have a few for Karagor, but the one I always saw, like when he was trying to leave Belkson, was Feet Don't Fail Me Now by Queens of the Stone Age. It's a big romping kind of stomping, like it's got a lot of energy and it's got a lot of movement in it, and it references that a lot in the song. And also I bloody love Queens of the Stone Age, and I actually really like that album. But yeah, that was the one I had in my mind about that. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. All right. Well, we're going to end it there because time is ticking away. So I want to say thank you, Dangerlings, for listening. Thanks for tuning in. That was a good episode. Thank you, Dan, for joining us.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you, Ross.
Thank you.
And thank you, Scott.
The winds bend and snap my spine in the turmoil of the void.
Goodbye, Dangerlings. Bye.
Bye.
Waving
Just
again.
now.
Just
I'm
waving
gonna-
again.
I'm
Waving at
accepting
no
the
one.
wave.
It's great.
Just doing it.
Maybe we'll post it.